What happens when a mother's intuition tells her something is desperately wrong, but everyone around her dismisses her concerns? Today, we're sharing a powerful story that explores the very real challenges many families face when confronting discrimination and protecting their children. This is the story of the Johnson family, an account that sheds light on issues that unfortunately occur in communities across the country. While Lisa, Nina, Malcolm, and Mr. Miller are characters, and their experiences reflect the struggles of real families who have faced similar situations. So settle in as we follow this family's journey from hope to heartbreak and ultimately to healing and change. Our story begins on a warm summer day in a quiet suburban neighborhood. 8-year-old Lisa Johnson steps out of a moving truck, her bright eyes taking in her new surroundings. Her parents, Nina and Malcolm, stand beside her, filled with dreams of a better future for their family. The Johnsons are the only black family on this tree-lined street. They've moved here seeking better schools, safer streets, and more opportunities for Lisa. As they stand on their new front lawn, they represent the hopes and dreams of countless real families who have made similar journeys. "Well, what do you think, sweetheart?" Nina asks, her voice mixing excitement with apprehension. Lisa, our 8-year-old, tilts her head thoughtfully. "It's different," she says, "but I like that big tree. Can we put a swing on it?" This moment captures something many families experience. That mixture of hope and uncertainty when starting fresh in a new place. The Johnsons don't yet know that their journey will test them in ways they never imagined. As evening falls, the family shares pizza from cardboard boxes, talking about their dreams. Nina, a graphic designer, is excited about working from home. Malcolm has landed a new position in the city, and Lisa, she's wondering about her new school and whether she'll make friends. To new beginnings, Malcolm says, raising his pizza slice in a toast. But beneath their excitement, our parents carry concerns they don't voice. Will they truly be accepted here? Will Lisa thrive in this new environment? These questions hang in the air, unspoken but deeply felt. The next morning brings Lisa's first day at her new school. As our family waits for the school bus, Nina smooths Lisa's hair for the 10th time, her nervous energy palpable. "You've got your lunch?" Nina asks, running through her mental checklist. "And my notebook and pencils," Lisa responds, patting her backpack. Malcolm kneels down to Lisa's level. "Remember what we talked about. Be yourself, be kind, and if anything makes you uncomfortable, tell a teacher or us right away." When the yellow school bus rounds the corner, all 3 family members feel their hearts quicken. This is it, the moment they've been both anticipating and dreading. The bus driver is Mr. Miller, a middle-aged man with graying hair and what appears to be a grandfatherly demeanor. When he sees the family, surprise flickers across his face, quickly replaced by a neutral expression. "Good morning," he says, his tone polite, but lacking warmth. "You must be new to the route." "Yes, this is Lisa," Nina responds, forcing a smile. "She'll be riding with you." As Lisa climbs the steps in our account, Nina and Malcolm catch a glimpse of the other children inside. Most seem curious, some smile, but a few wear expressions that make Nina's stomach clench. This moment represents something many parents experience, that mixture of pride and protective fear as they watch their child step into an unknown world. The days following Lisa's first bus ride begin to form a troubling pattern. While Lisa initially shares excited stories about her new school, teacher, and classmates, Nina begins to notice subtle changes in her daughter's behavior. The bubbly, talkative girl who once recounted every detail of her day now gives only brief, non-committal answers when asked about school. Our Lisa seems to withdraw slightly, and Nina's maternal instincts begin to sound alarm bells. One afternoon, Nina finds Lisa sitting by the living room window, staring outside with a distant look in her eyes. "Lisa," Nina calls softly, "is everything okay?" Lisa startles slightly, as if pulled from deep thoughts. "Yeah, Mom, I'm fine," she says, but her smile doesn't quite reach her eyes. This pattern continues. When Nina gently brings up Lisa's earlier comment about the bus driver being rude, Lisa tenses visibly, her small hands fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. "It's nothing, Mommy," Lisa insists, but her voice quivers slightly, and Nina notices her eyes darting around as if afraid someone might overhear. These moments in our account capture the heartbreaking reality that many children face when they experience mistreatment but feel unable to articulate it or fear they won't be believed. As our story progresses, the tension in the Johnson household grows. Nina's concerns about Lisa's behavior clash with Malcolm's desire to believe everything is fine. This creates a rift between the parents at the very moment they need to be united. When Nina shares her observations with Malcolm, his response reflects the exhaustion many working parents feel. "Nina, I think you might be overreacting. Lisa is just adjusting. It's a big change for all of us." "But Malcolm," Nina argues, "you haven't seen how she's been acting. I really think—" "I have enough problems at work, Nina." Malcolm cuts her off, his voice rising. "I don't need you bringing this up again. Just let it go. Lisa's fine." This exchange highlights how differently parents can perceive and respond to potential threats to their children. The kitchen falls silent, with only the sound of bubbling sauce filling the uncomfortable void. That night, as Nina lies awake replaying Lisa's words and actions, she makes a decision that will change everything. If no one else will take her concerns seriously, she'll find out the truth herself. The next morning, Nina makes a choice that many parents in her situation might consider. After watching Lisa board the bus, she grabs her car keys and decides to follow. Her hands shake slightly as she turns the ignition. Part of her feels ridiculous. What if Malcolm is right and she's overreacting? But a stronger part, her maternal instinct, drives her forward. Keeping a safe distance, Nina follows the yellow school bus through the winding suburban streets. She notices something odd at each stop. Lisa always seems to be the last to board, even when other children are waiting at the same stop. At one point, Nina thinks she sees Mr. Miller say something to Lisa as she climbs the steps. From her distant vantage point, she watches Lisa's shoulders seem to hunch slightly. When they reach the school, Nina parks across the street and observes as the children disembark. Mr. Miller appears perfectly professional, even giving Lisa a friendly pat on the shoulder as she exits the bus. This moment captures the confusion many parents feel when their instincts tell them something is wrong, but surface observations suggest everything is normal. Nina drives home feeling more conflicted than ever. Later, Nina encounters one of her neighbors, Sarah, at the local park while Lisa plays on the swings. This meeting will prove to be a turning point. After some pleasant small talk, Nina gathers her courage to ask Sarah about Mr. Miller and whether she's heard any concerns from other parents. The change in Sarah's demeanor is immediate and shocking. Her friendly smile vanishes, replaced by a hard, angry expression. "How dare you?" Sarah hisses. "How dare you accuse Mr. Miller of anything? He's been driving kids in this neighborhood for decades. He's a good man." Nina is stunned into silence as Sarah continues her tirade. "You just came into this neighborhood and you're already causing trouble, thinking you're the boss around here. If you don't like it, you're free to leave. I think you'd be doing everyone here a favor anyway." This encounter represents the very real hostility that families sometimes face when they try to address concerns about discrimination or mistreatment in their communities. Several weeks pass with an uneasy quiet settling over the Johnson household. Nina and Malcolm watch Lisa carefully, but she seems to be doing better. The cloud that had hung over her appears to be lifting. Nina begins to wonder if perhaps her fears had been unfounded. Maybe Lisa had just been going through an adjustment period, and things were finally settling down. On what seems like an ordinary autumn afternoon, Nina sits at her desk working on a design project. The house is quiet, filled only with the soft tapping of her keyboard. As 4 o'clock approaches, she prepares Lisa's usual after-school snack. But 4 o'clock comes and goes with no sign of Lisa. Then 4:15. By 4:30, Nina is pacing the living room, phone in hand, calling Malcolm with barely controlled panic in her voice. "I'm sure it's nothing," she tells Malcolm, as much to convince herself as him. "Maybe the bus broke down or something. But I'm getting worried." As the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the lawn, Nina's worry turns to full-blown panic. The school confirms that all buses have returned to the depot, but Lisa isn't home. Just as Nina is about to call the police, they hear the creak of the front door. Time seems to stand still as they turn to see Lisa walk in, 2 hours late, her yellow skirt wrinkled, pink shirt askew, and her usually neat braids disheveled. Nina rushes to embrace her daughter, relief and fear mingling as she takes in Lisa's appearance. Lisa is pale, her eyes wide and filled with unshed tears, trembling slightly. "Lisa, sweetheart," Nina says, cupping her daughter's face. "What happened? Where were you?" In a voice barely above a whisper, Lisa says the words that shatter their world. The bus driver did it again. The room falls silent as the full implications of Lisa's words sink in. All of Nina's fears, all her suspicions and worries of the past weeks come crashing down on her. She had been right all along. As Lisa begins to tell her story, the full extent of what she has endured becomes clear. Mr. Miller, she reveals, has been making racist remarks and has twice left her stranded far from home, threatening her to keep quiet. "He told me if I ever told anyone, I would regret it," Lisa says, her voice barely audible. "He said no one would believe me anyway, because of the color of my skin." This revelation represents the very real experiences of children who face discrimination and abuse, often suffering in silence because they fear they won't be believed, or that speaking up will make things worse. The Johnson family makes the difficult but necessary decision to call the police. When Officers Thompson and Brooks arrive, they listen to Lisa's account with varying degrees of skepticism and concern. Officer Thompson's initial reaction reflects a troubling reality. That's quite an accusation. Mr. Miller has been a respected member of this community for decades, but Officer Brooks, showing more sensitivity, encourages Lisa to share as much as she feels comfortable revealing. When the officers go to question Mr. Miller, he denies everything, claiming he's never mistreated any child. For a moment, it seems like the case might end there, one person's word against another's. But then, something crucial happens. Another mother from the neighborhood hurries across the street, waving to get the officer's attention. "Wait," she calls out. "I need to talk to you." This woman is right. We've experienced something similar with our kids. This moment in our account represents the power of community and the importance of people finding the courage to speak up when they witness injustice. As our story continues, more families come forward with their own experiences. What had seemed like an isolated incident reveals itself to be part of a larger pattern of discrimination and mistreatment. Mr. Miller is arrested and taken away in handcuffs. While this brings some relief to the Johnson family, Nina understands that their fight is just beginning. The news of Mr. Miller's arrest spreads quickly through the community, dividing opinions and stirring up tensions that had long been buried beneath the surface of suburban politeness. Some neighbors rally around the Johnson family, apologizing for not speaking up sooner and pledging to do better. Others remain skeptical or hostile, unwilling to acknowledge that discrimination exists in their community. Nina finds herself at the center of a media storm, with reporters camping out on their front lawn and sensationalized headlines, reducing their painful experience to sound bites. As weeks turn into months, the Johnson family focuses on healing while also working to create lasting change in their community. They find a therapist who specializes in helping children who have experienced racial trauma. Slowly but surely, they begin to see glimpses of their vibrant, confident daughter reemerging. Lisa's natural resilience, combined with her parents' unwavering support, helps her begin to heal. The community response is mixed, but gradually evolving. A group of parents forms a diversity and inclusion committee, working on proposals for cultural sensitivity training, more diverse hiring practices, and better systems for reporting concerns. One particularly meaningful moment comes when Sarah, the neighbor who had lashed out at Nina in the park, appears at their door with an apology. "I owe you an apology," Sarah says, her eyes downcast. "I was wrong to dismiss your concerns. I'm sorry for how I treated you." This small gesture in our account represents the kind of personal growth and accountability that real change requires. Mr. Miller's trial becomes a community focal point. The testimony of multiple families, combined with the evidence gathered by police, builds a strong case against him. The day of the verdict is both triumphant and sobering for the Johnson family. When Mr. Miller is convicted and sentenced, Nina holds Lisa close. "You did it, baby," she whispers. "You were so brave, and you helped make sure he can't hurt anyone else." Lisa looks up at her mother, a small smile playing on her lips. "We did it, Mom, all of us together." This moment in our account emphasizes the collective nature of seeking justice and creating change. As spring arrives, bringing new life to the neighborhood, Nina feels a sense of cautious optimism. The school has implemented new policies, including cameras on buses and an anonymous reporting system. One sunny afternoon, Nina watches from her porch as Lisa boards the school bus. The new driver, a kind-faced woman, greets each child with a warm smile. Lisa turns and waves to her mother before taking her seat, chatting animatedly with a diverse group of friends. Nina waves back, her heart full of hope and pride. They had faced darkness and emerged stronger. They had turned a painful experience into an opportunity for growth and positive change. As our story comes to an end, it's important to reflect on the very real lessons it contains. While the Johnson family, Lisa, Nina, Malcolm, and even Mr. Miller are characters, their experiences mirror those of countless real families who have faced similar challenges. This story illustrates several crucial points. First, the importance of trusting parental instincts. Nina's persistent feeling that something was wrong, despite others' dismissals, ultimately led to protecting not just her daughter, but other children as well. Second, the power of speaking up. Lisa's courage in finally telling her story, despite her fears, was the catalyst for change and justice. Third, the reality that discrimination and bias can exist even in seemingly progressive communities. The initial resistance Nina faced when raising concerns reflects real barriers that families encounter when confronting prejudice. Fourth, the importance of community solidarity. The other families who found the courage to come forward made the difference between Mr. Miller facing justice and continuing to harm children. Finally, our narrative demonstrates that while the fight against discrimination is difficult and ongoing, positive change is possible when people are willing to stand up for what's right. The Johnson family's story reminds us that behind every news headline about discrimination are real people, parents trying to protect their children, kids trying to navigate a world that doesn't always welcome them, and communities grappling with hard truths about themselves. While this particular story is imagined, it represents the experiences of too many real families. By sharing narratives like this one, we can better understand the challenges faced by those who experience discrimination and the courage required to confront it. The next time you encounter a story of discrimination or bias, remember the Johnson family and ask yourself, what would I do? How would I respond? How can I be part of the solution? Because ultimately, that's what stories like this one are meant to do, not just entertain us, but challenge us to think, to empathize, and to act. Thank you for joining us on this journey. While the Johnson family's story may be imagined, the issues they faced and the courage they showed are all too real and all too necessary in our world today.